like I was in the shower and this was going on in the shower, all these thoughts. And it was like, I'm coming in here to tell you, Sevan, that you're already at a place. You're at a place that you're looking for. You're at a place that you're trying to get to. You just need to stop and now look around you. And I went to write that down because it was like a one-liner. It literally said, you're already at where you're trying to get, you know, something like that. But it was something to share with everyone here. It's like, we've made it now. You can't keep working your consciousness in a way that you feel like you're still trying to achieve something. Because truly what I also learned with the vegetarianism is how we're really structured at first, especially in the neophyte initiate days, is you do things to get certain results. I'm fasting to get this result. I'm removing this from my life to get this result. But actually what's really happening is you're doing something so that you can tell your mind to equate to that's why you should be able to get this result. So if you could just remove that whole component, which is actually not necessary to accomplish everything. If you can remove that component that you actually need to do something to accomplish what you already are, you would click into it. But it's going to take you a while. That could take a few years. That could take a few months. But you need to get on your way. And this is what was translated to me, you know, and that's what I'm translating to you, is that you get on your way because you're actually mixing both sides of your brain. You're using all of your consciousness. You're not just whole body breathing, you're whole brained now. You're completely whole with your consciousness. You're not trying to have the argument about the difference between the mind and the spirit, as if when we're done with that conversation, we had grown any from that, unless we were really doing some kind of experiment that required that. If we coalesce all of this force and realize, yo, we have a lot that we can gain here and get out of this, just this polarized I-ness, and even the other side that either wants to be by itself or just be everything, and stick in the center of the consciousness, then you would be able to explore this vast chasm of all of these different things. Just like when they unearth something, they keep bringing up these crystals. You love them. They keep bringing up this gold. You love it. But to go inside of yourself and to bring up the same equivalent or greater, how much more would you be in love with that? So that's what I said. The way to that, to open that door, is just to remember when you had a good time. Now, if you ain't never had a good time before, you got some work to do. But if you've had a good time before, put yourself into those moments. Go to sleep in those moments, and you'll be surprised what's like. I was doing it in the chair, and all of a sudden, see what you think what you could do this. You could have did this and realized this 6 months ago, a year ago. But if the gateways are not aligned properly, yeah, you're a little early. You're like an early fruit on the tree. To do this at the specific time that it needs to be done, which is what I was saying, like having the right knowledge just at the right time and then being able to let it go when it's no longer applicable, that's where you really want to be, or that's what I suggest. And so in this time, find that space. Find that space where that was the best time you had. I also noticed for men, it seems to always include women. I won't say for all of us. And I'm not even saying sexual. Like I actually remember like early in life where I held a girl's hand for the first time, and like the whole thing that was going on inside of my psyche. And I said, you know, it's interesting because after I put up about 3 of those, I always noticed the female was present. And I felt like that was symbolic for me, that it was showing me that the best time that I ever have in the cosmos, because I don't think this is the first time the cosmos has seen James Evans Bomar III, that I learned over time that the best engagements come from exploration of diving deep, and that my life had started centering itself around traveling through these paths and traveling through these wombs and wormholes. And I feel like all of us, of course, are doing that, male or female alike, that we've started jumping down these wormholes and wombs to go through these experiences as deep divers. And that this exploration, though, is so intrinsic, it's so organic in itself, that if someone starts making you become disgusted by it and reject it, you die. Literally, you create this thing where you stop moving. To me, that's, of course, what death is, a slow down of the vibration. You can't stop it, but it's a slow down of vibration. So it's like feeding your consciousness this idea that you need to stop piercing through all this and stop experimenting and exploring. But you actually still need to remind yourself. You need to remind yourself from time to time, especially if we're going through yugas, think of the best times you've had. Fill yourself with that energy. Let that fill the body and the being. And then from there, what happens is like this. When you were younger and you were doing the make-believe, you remember the make-believe? Anybody ever done make-believe? By show of hands, you ever done a make-believe? Are you still with me? Are you there? You do a make-believe before? See, what happens when the child is doing the make-believe is they believe it's going on. If you ever watch the child, they cease to start tapping into what's going on around them. They could take two inanimate objects and be like, oh yeah, I'm about to go to the store today. And also they can write themselves into the script as anything. I'm the president and you need to listen to me. And when you watch children do this, not adults, because see, with adults, even when they make believe, they're playing make believe. Now they're even looking around to wonder who's observing them make believing. And the problem with this is once you do that, you take a percentage of yourself and you put that percentage of yourself over there. Remember how I used to say sometimes that I'd be sitting over there and listening to myself? Because I would have to observe myself in order to understand what I'm saying and how to become better at saying it, etc. But what I'm doing, that's beneficial. But what I'm also doing is I'm dividing the amount of how much of me is really present in this moment, okay? So now, see, when you're younger, of course, your manifestation thing is on fleek, it's happening, but you're still before the age of knowing. This means that there's certain powers that really are kind of off limits because it's almost like you're given a Ferrari in a time you should just have a three-wheeler. So meaning the cosmos, even though in make-believe, you can literally put yourself into a level of power that if you can tap into that same moment when you're an adult, you would be able to exhibit great strength. So this is what I was saying about how we're bred out of being manifestors, because if you kept playing make-believe and not paying attention to everything that's going on around you and being convinced that it's not real and it doesn't exist, you would be better than anyone that did The Secret. Because they're now trying to put you back into a stage that you already were at. And the reason why you can't get to that stage now is because you're looking at other people and you feel embarrassed. Even when other people are not even around, you playing make-believe with yourself, you would police yourself from another part of your consciousness that'd be like, man, what are you doing? But make-believe in itself is what we're talking about, because now if you went into a session of make-believe and you put all your focus into that point and just had what? Fun. That's why fun and happiness and jokes and that kind of things, those are the perfect transients. That's what they say in psychology. Those are the perfect transients for creating change. You don't find people really changing in serious environments. They change when they're having fun and when they're laughing, and that's when the transformations are taking place. So to put yourself into that state, and that's what I'm saying, it's like just knowing all of this stuff and then applying it from a wisdom level is a big key here to our growth, because we keep thinking sometimes, well, children play make-believe all the time, but they were manifestors. Now you're overthinking it. You're outthinking yourself. You shouldn't be able to manifest certain things at that age. It would be too much. It would be too powerful. You'd be a freak. But now you need it. But you won't play make-believe anymore so that you can remove yourself from being in all these third-party positions, watching yourself, and because you only can manifest great things when you're completely there. It's like anything that you're working on. If I'm working on a piece of art, if I'm distracted, it's never going to look the same way as if I'm focused. So this is what I'm talking about. And right now, we're focusing on this exploration and how to achieve it. We are actually bringing, again, the fuel supply from your own repository. You have a memory repository of good feelings that you haven't tapped into. And when you have that good time, don't snap back into the, well, that person didn't allow me to, and I'm so sad that they're gone. That's not what I'm talking about. Don't go there. You always go there. I'm talking about go to that moment. And then in that moment, you have that code, because remember, this is a code. People think it's a game when we talk about the codes and we say, yeah, your reality is a code. They're like, it's a code. Like, I guess, he's trying to see it like a computer. No, it's really a code. It's like when you snap a picture right now, this meeting and everything that we're having, I'm snapping pictures at about 60 frames a second, and it's storing it in my mind. But of course, just like any other hard drive, there's compression. It's got to compress it because I can't keep every single slide of 60 frames per second inside of my mind. So what am I going to really remember about this conversations? The high points. Now, are the high points the whole conversation? No, but I'm going to store the high points. And tomorrow, that storage is going to get compressed a bit further because of the new memories I'm going to bring in. And that's going to keep happening until either I'm going to think I forgot about today, or today's code is going to be so corrupt, I'm not really going to be able to access more than just a blurry picture. And this is why when I say remember your good times and recall them, you see, they don't actually appear like blurry pictures. They don't actually come into the field as if you can't remember what's happened. They come in crisp. And that's why it's a clean code, and the code has energy attached to it. And when you start just loading that code, this is your own stuff, loading that code continuously in place of that code that constantly wants to highlight what you don't like about the reality, et cetera. This is how you empower yourself. And with that power, then you would be able to go into make believe. In this case, it's make know, because you know what you would be doing and manifesting. And then it is through those conduits of exploration. So there's a path here. There's a purpose here, exploration, because the more fun it is from the new things that we discover, that's what keeps us going. So the reason why you would want this to work, because some people are like, well, why would I want to do it anyway? Well, you got infinity. So you need to set this in a certain way where it would keep panning out for you through infinity. It's not even somewhat of a desire. It's a responsibility. It's a responsibility to make yourself happy. You see how all this is, it's wild. Even as I come into this recollection of these kind of things, I'm blown away. Hey, it may not be impressive for you on your end, but it's doing wonders for me. But again, just realizing that we feel like it's a responsibility to go to work. I feel like it's a responsibility to keep cranking it out and keep doing all these different things. And I can't say it's necessarily what I would want to be doing all the time. There are things that I would be able to classify as fun, but the responsibility is lying within doing things that actually are a bit more grievous. We have to make sure that we're carving a space for the responsibility of us cultivating the good times. And remember, you don't even need to go out there and try to find a good time. That's not the first exercise. The first exercise is to research through the consciousness and bring the files of the good times up front in the brain again, and then begin to function that way.